Things there are heating up between now former President Trump and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis.
As we take a live look here in the Granite State, Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, Trump and DeSantis both hitting the all-important primary state this week. Our very own NewsMax national correspondent Mike Carter just had a one-on-one conversation with the Florida governor, and he joins us now live from Concord. Mike, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, guys. Well, Ron DeSantis' campaign now in the midst of its third reset in as many months. DeSantis' campaign promises a new energetic campaign moving forward, and that's what we've been seeing over the course of the last week with campaign stops in Iowa, New Hampshire over the weekend into today. He'll be in Iowa again towards the end of this week. So here we are now just about 3 weeks away from the first GOP debate. New polling out this week with Siena College showing DeSantis down 37 points nationally, but here in the Granite State, it's a much different story. DeSantis trailing former President Trump just by 14 points. Today, he was at the Windmill Diner here in Concord, New Hampshire, meeting with prospective New Hampshire voters. A lot of folks we talked to say they still don't know who they're going to vote for, let alone Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis, but had the chance to talk with the governor of Florida and ask him, how do you make up that gap? You're down 14 here in New Hampshire, 37 nationally. How do you get the messaging out that does seem to be working here in New Hampshire and expand that message nationally to make it work for him across the country? And also, maybe most importantly in this race for DeSantis, how do you peel off support from those Trump or bust voters, those voters who say it's Donald Trump for me or nobody? Here's what he said.
I think you make a good point. This is not a national primary, so people will do a national poll, but we don't vote nationally in Republican primary. You do Iowa, then New Hampshire, and then South Carolina. So we're on the ground focusing on those voters, and you're exactly right. Those early states, it's much tighter. It's a competitive race. And so I think what we have to do is, most of these Republicans, they know I'm governor. They know we've done a good job in Florida. They're happy with seeing Florida do well, but they don't know a lot about my biography, being a Navy veteran, an Iraq veteran. They don't necessarily know about me being a father with 3 young kids, and they don't necessarily know about all the accomplishments we've had in Florida. They know me for standing up for COVID, which was a huge issue. They know me for standing up for the kids against Disney, but a lot of them don't know we've paid off a quarter of our state debt since I've been governor. We've cut taxes by billions and billions of dollars. We have universal school choice, 50-year low in the crime rate, all those things. And then, what's your vision for the country? Okay, if you become president, what issues are you going to tackle? And when we get in front of voters and we sketch out that vision, we get a lot of support. So yesterday we announced our economic program. I had a number of guys come up to me saying, you won me over. Thanks. So you just got to do that. And New Hampshire voters and Iowa voters, they want to kick the tires. They want to see you. They want you to have to earn their vote. You are not entitled to be nominated. You're not entitled to votes. You've got to earn them, and we're going to earn them. And so we've been
And we asked Governor DeSantis a few more questions in our exclusive one-on-one this morning. Asked him about will he support a national abortion ban, how he feels about the Republican strategist Ed Rollins coming out this week now siding against DeSantis. He used to be for him. Now he says DeSantis can't win. He says Republicans can't win the House next year. That full interview coming up on John Bachman later this morning.
All right, we'll be watching for it. Mike Carter, thank you very much for the latest there. Speaking of the Florida governor, he's now inviting Vice President Kamala Harris to his state as they have continued their feud over an African-American history standards. DeSantis writing in a letter saying in part, quote, "In Florida, we are unafraid to have an open and honest dialogue about the issues, and you clearly have no trouble ducking down to Florida on short notice. So given your grave concern, which I must assume is sincere, about what you think our standards say, I'm officially inviting you back down to Florida to discuss our African-American history standards. I'm prepared to meet as early as Wednesday of this week, but of course want to be deferential to your busy schedule should you already have a trip to the southern border planned for that day."
Oh, man. DeSantis' invitation coming more than a week after Harris blasted the standards for a line in this education plan about slavery. Listen.
Now, on top of all of that, they want to replace history with lies. Middle school students in Florida to be told that enslaved people benefited from slavery. High schoolers may be taught that victims of violence, of massacres, were also perpetrators. I said it yesterday. They insult us in an attempt to gaslight us, and we will not have it.
So DeSantis, again, accusing the Biden-Harris administration of spreading misinformation about these educational policies, pushing back on the comments that were made by Vice President Kamala Harris. He's also accusing Harris of creating a, quote, fake narrative with her remarks. And this has been somewhat of a back and forth here about the curriculum that is taught there in Florida. Again, that letter going out to Vice President Kamala Harris. And in part, does the governor have a point when he says, if you are sincere and you really are concerned, I will hear your concerns. You can come down and bring them to me, and I will listen to them. And that invitation is open. Has she responded? At least right now, we don't know. We haven't heard back just yet. But perhaps Mike Carter will be sitting down, or he had to sit down, so perhaps maybe he asked about that.
Interesting little dig at the fact that she hasn't visited the southern border recently. Yeah. So I don't think we can just gloss over that one. As we know, there is a migration crisis, and initially it was the vice president who was tapped to assist in finding the root causes, which I guess have still not been fully addressed, as again, we're dealing with record numbers of illegal immigration. Again, the line that has gotten so many people to weigh in, including several Republican members of Congress, Byron Donald, who's spoken out against it, just taking issue with, again, this one line in this curriculum: slaves develop skills which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit. And we've covered this topic a lot. Again, it wasn't Ron DeSantis who wrote that line. It was a group of African-American scholars. But it was more than that. It was a diverse group of scholars coming together and ultimately sort of recrafting the Florida AP, African-American AP history standards, including all of the horrifying details of slavery in this country. It wasn't just that one line. There was extensive reporting and education materials about the tragedy and again, disgusting nature of slavery in America.
Right. And again, DeSantis sending that open invitation. We'll see if Vice President Kamala Harris responds.
Staying in Florida, the state could be